My father, Geoff Hodges, died when I was still quite young, so I never was able to ask him the adult questions that I would like to ask him now, like why he was a member of the Communist Party, which seems an anachronism today, and why in 1937 he cycled around Germany. Well, fortunately, recently I was able to interview Edward Dudley, the friend he cycled around Germany with, and Edward was able to answer many of the questions I had.
The object of the journey was to visit a young woman who'd been my letter correspondence while I was at grammar school. We exchanged letters in both our languages and would then return corrected the foreign language one. I would send her English corrected letter and she would send the German one back. And during the course of the correspondence, she said to me, had I read Mein Kampf? And I, tongue-in-cheek, replied, no, I hadn't, because in England it was available only in an expurgated edition. And she said, I will send you a copy.
So did she actually translate it?
No.
No, she found one in English.
Mein Kampf. Well, I think it bibliographically volume 1, but it was the main volume with Hitler's face on the dust jacket. And it came, I read bits of it, off the garbage, and I put it in a pack to take back to her. Jeff and I then got on the train at Charing Cross, I think, could have been Victoria, put our bikes on the train, no problem, no charge, got off. I remember there being loaded on the boat by a crane with one of those rope bags there, no. Bicycles hauled up aloft. We'd taken our packs and bicycle pumps off, and then they came onto the boat, crossed to Ostend, and I have clear memory. It was a nice mild night. I think we left at midnight from Dover, and we sat out and we ate chocolate Ryvita. I can still remember the chocolate Ryvita. Then at Ostend we got on the train, and it's a Belgian train to the German border, and when we got to the German border there were customs and passport inspections and a good deal of shouting, and eventually they came to our compartment with a great deal of Heil Hitler music, top of the morning to you, and pointed at the bags to open to inspect them. And I opened the top of mine, and there was Mein Kampf on the top. And this chap, Heil Hitler, closed it and went on. You know, we were bona fide visitors. And we then arrived at Cologne. Magnificent railway station. My father was a steam engineer, I think. I was interested in the whole railway bit. And we went across the river to the east bank of the Rhine, and from there we cycled to where this girl lived in Gotha, in Thüringen, staying in youth hostels. You know, unremarkable. We met a number of young German people who all hit the youth at one time or another, until we got to her town, Gotha, and we stayed in the youth hostel there. And I had a standard opening phrase, because it was always the Hausarzt, the warden of the youth hostel, who had to say it. And I used to say in my very best German, we are members of the English Youth Hostel Association, please may we stay tonight. Wir sind Mitglieder der englischen Jugendverbandes, wir möchten übernachten bitte. And I got as far as English, and this very, very old man, who was probably in his 70s or 80s, said to me, perfect English, oh, you are English, how delightful. And it transpired, he bought us supper, Abendessen. I think they used to cost us about, it's a fairly substantial meal, it was about 10 odd pennies. And we got to talking to him, and apparently he had emigrated to the United States in the late 19th century, made his money, returned to Germany after the end of the First World War, returned 1920, and then lost it in the great crash in 1923. So we had a long talk with him, and we didn't get on to politics, but he was obviously not too happy about Hitler. I had an interesting experience. We stayed in that youth hospital for about 4 nights. I went out by myself one morning because next door there was an army barracks. And I watched, and there were a number of soldiers running up and down training with light machine guns, just carrying out orders. And I stood English fashion with my hands in my pockets looking. And a small boy, couldn't have been more than 8, who by that time had had 4 years of Hitler in power, came up to me, pulled my hands out of my pockets and said, "A Hitler youth does not stand on the street with his hands in his pockets." And I said to him, "But I'm not a Hitler youth." "How so? What are you then?" I said, "I'm sorry, I'm a foreigner. I'm English." He said, "I'll that foreigner." And marched off, and I thought, it's taken 4 years for this small boy to get into that attitude. And it was, an early example of when it's the whole mindset and feeling of Germans had been captured. Well, we stayed there for, 4 nights, and we went to visit her. And it turned out that her father was an official in the local brown shirts. He worked for Deutsche Reichsbahn, the German railways.
So the brown shirts were the army?
No, brown shirts, no. Those were the Hitler Sturmabteilung, SA. They were brown shirts.
Right.
In the Nazi party, the so-called NSDAP, there were also black shirts, and they were the SS, Schutzstaffel, Defence Corps.
Right.
And he was a politischer Leiter, kind of political commissar in the local Nazi brown shirt organisation. And he began to talk to us about things from England. Geoff didn't speak German, he had a few words, so I had to do the translation. And very quickly, her father said to me, "What do we think of Sir Oswald Mosley, who at that time was head of the British Union of Fascists, black shirts?" And I translated this to Geoff, and I said to Geoff, "I'll tell you afterwards how I replied to him." And I said to her father, "Well, actually, we're not sure that Mosley is a true National Socialist." "Oh, what do you mean?" he said. Well, I said, "He's been in several political parties. He's been Conservative, Labour, non-party. We're not sure that he is a true National Socialist. Who then?" And then I plucked out of my head, because it had occurred only within the previous month, I said, "There's a man named William Joyce, who had just left Mosley and formed his own party. He may be a true National Socialist. This is the same national." William Joyce, who became well,
I know that bit of history.
Well, that may have made him suspicious, because we noticed that whenever we were out and about with his daughter, and she, in August, it was holiday time, and she would take us around and show us things. 1 or 2 German soldiers also came with us. And you'll see in the picture that I've got when we had a meal with him before we started to go back. He was a German soldier. And I'll tell you a little.
Can you speak up a bit louder?
I'll tell you a bit later about the meal we had. But we had a good time. This particular German show, they went a little walkabout in the town of Gotha. And German towns before the war had not been destroyed, obviously. And in many cases they were still medieval. Because unlike in the Industrial Revolution in England, where centres of towns were torn down very often, in Germany and in France for that matter. They kept their medieval pieces. And we were going around looking, and we passed, that he said, pointing across the road, is Bismarck. The greatest German, and the only greater German since, is Adolf Hitler. So, there was always this great...
Like uneasy.
Yeah, Bismarck, 19th century, Kaiser Wilhelm, all the rest. And now it was Hitler. Well, I say we were there for about 4 days, and eventually on, yes, it was a Sunday, somehow it emerged that we would have a farewell lunch. And we went from Gotha, 15 or 20 miles, to a very interesting old city, which I later visited after the war, Eisenach. And in Eisenach there was a well-known tower, I forget what the name of it is now, and it had a restaurant. And we had a long, leisurely lunch. And there came a German soldier, Rosemary, my correspondent, and her girlfriend, Geoff and myself, and I then took the picture which we had of the four of us. And the German soldier began quizzing us too about our politics. He had been a waiter in London for a couple of years. And very crude way he tried to find out what our politics were. But suddenly he started whistling. He said, "Do you know that song?" I said, "Well, of course I do. It's a German folk song." It is. And Tannenbaum, Tannenbaum. There's also a tune of the red flag. The people came, it's red. And I sang, "Yes, I know it's on Tannenbaum." Of course I know it. "No," he said, "that's the song the Jews and communists sing in Hyde Park." It's an accurate description. Jews and communists did sing it in Hyde Park. Hyde Park was a great place for political meeting. And after that we went, we cycled back to Cologne. Nothing much memorable happened on the way. Once we got terribly lost because after Hitler came to power, one of the sources of increased employment was building motorways at Autobahn. And more than once we found our passage as cyclists obstructed by a motorway under construction. And we had that problem. We stayed in an enormous youth hostel in Wiesbaden, which housed 600 people.
Good heavens. And
they blew a bugle in the morning to wake us up. And they came round shouting, "Time to get up, time to get up." Everybody leapt up. And, both Geoff and I thought, the informal atmosphere of an English youth hostel compared to this regimented, it was a nonsense. Oh, there were several odd things. In one youth hostel, I queried the bill that the house woman had given me. And I said, no. She said, "You speak quite good German for a foreigner, but you can't add up." And I had another occasion from the house start. I'd been speaking to her in German. She said, "Can't always understand what you say. You speak German like a Berlin Jew." We constantly had these little sidelights.
But why did you go to Germany at all, other than to return the book?
Well, no, Geoff and I, we were cyclists. Geoff and I were both members of the Tooting Ballon branch of the Young Communist League. And what used to happen on Sundays, we went out hiking over the North Downs, or we went out cycling. So going out on a cycling trip was fairly normal. And in fact, I did another cycling trip with Geoff in 1938 with another man I knew at school who was not a young communist Labour Party member, but his mother was strongly socialist and lived in Chelmsford, and Geoff and I cycled there and stayed the night in Chelmsford.
You're not Phil Bartley?
Phil Bartley.
Oh yeah, I know Phil. I knew Phil.
Yes, he died. Of course you would know him, yes. Well, that was Phil Bartley. And in 38...
so he was in the cycling club as well, was he?
Sorry?
Was he in the cycling club as well? Sorry.
Well, it wasn't a cycling club.
Oh, right.
It was just a group of cyclists, you know, who go together. I mean, there were others from school.
So it was the Banham Tooting communists, but he wasn't a communist?
No, exactly.
Okay. It was obviously a very loose arrangement.
Yeah, oh yes. And in 1938, Phil Bartley, Geoff, whom I married in 1939, Jessica, we had a tandem. We went cycling from London, going to the west, and Aberystwyth was our objective. Which is very interesting. And again, we stayed in youth hostels. Yes, it was good. And we cycled through parts of South Wales that were quite unopened. In particular, there is now a road, quite a substantial road, that goes from Ryder really into Aberystwyth. And that was an open country with just nothing. And after Aberystwyth, we went down to Swansea or Cardiff. And there I think Geoff went home. Yes, he went home.
I've heard of this story, and that's when the weather got good, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, is that what you were about to say?
Yes.
That story has got to me about how you went on and on for years afterwards about that happened in the week after you'd left.
Yes. Yeah. Nothing much happened except one youth hostel we stayed in two. We found it a bit irksome. In one youth hostel, they dished out a task, because in youth hostel you had to do something, sweep or clean or whatever. They dished out a task in a rather peremptory military fashion, and in another, everything was laid down in detail. You must do this, you can't do that, you have to go there. And again, it was regimented. And I had to stand up loud with the regimented man and say, I saw regimented youth hostels in Germany. I hate to see it here because it was self-discipline, responsibility, informality, which was the characteristic. And I complained to the Youth Hostel Association nationally. And this man came up and we had quite a discussion about it. Incidentally, when Geoff and I decided to go to Germany, where should we go? On our bikes. So we cycle all around southern England and bits of East Anglia and so on and so forth. Where should we go? Let's go abroad. And that's how Germany emerged.
But it could have easily been France, couldn't it?
Well, it could have been.
You must have been intrigued by the politics of Germany. There must have been some element of that.
Well, it was, because at my grammar school, I don't think it happened at Geoff's school, but at my grammar school there was a very strong Anglo-German connection, partly through the headmaster, who'd been a captain in the First World War, and his connections with Germany, and partly through local liberals who had connections, not National Socialist connections in Germany, but there was an Anglo-German feeling, and there used to be exchanges of schoolboys and an exchange of a master. I could never afford to go as a schoolboy. My father died when I was 13. My mother he was employed by the Southern Railway. My mother got a job cleaning railway carriages. Otherwise, it was my sister and me got a pension, so there was no money. But we had a German teacher who taught us German. I can still see him and remember his name, Gustav Breuer. He had the Nazi Party badge and he
In an English school?
However, three of us in my class had the Daily Worker open on our desks. So when he came round and looked, there it was.
No, I think, have you got your tickets or something there?
Yeah, that was...
I haven't got them out and told the story. I think we could do with
Yeah.
actually filming them.
Showing you we went through Aachen.
Right.
And then there's another one to come back. Again, London through Cologne. There's one thing I haven't told you about this. This was August 1937, and Geoff and I were sort of looking at our money. And I hadn't got much money, and he lent me, I think it was £2, which I didn't pay him back until after the war. When we met after the war, I said, oh, by the way, Geoff, I don't know, I was 37. I don't know why I didn't pay him back earlier. Geoff didn't ask, so I paid him back after the war. Yeah, that's the ticket. Now, that's a passport of the time. It's,
Awful lot bigger than they are now.
yes, and they're stiff. But inside, if I could read it,
It appears to be actually signed by Anthony Eden. I'm sure it wasn't really, was it?
no.
But, wow.
We, Robert Anthony Eden, member of His Majesty's Most Honourable Privy Council and Member of Parliament, blah, 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 blah. Request and require, blah, 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 blah. And then inside,
Oh, wow. Is that a picture of you?
yes, that's a dark red woolen knitted tie, which I built from a firm in High Holborn that specialised in big ties, called Laces. Laces of High Holborn.
Well, I wouldn't recognise you from that picture, I have to say. When you let me in when I came this afternoon, I recognised you immediately. But although the hair had got a lot greyer than I remembered.
Well, I was 18
But
then.
you look older than 18 to my eyes there. But I suppose
Well,
that's the styles of the time, isn't it?
and then inside was a rather interesting thing. Not only for Spain or the Spanish zone of Morocco, because of the Spanish Civil War, because the Western powers, France and England particularly, practiced what they called non-intervention in the war in Spain. And then we've got stamped in here a bank, a German bank, because the rate of exchange normally at that time was about 12 or 13 marks to the pound. But if you bought travel marks, Reisemark, by handing over what to the Germans was hard currency, you got 20 to the pound.
So how did you meet Geoff?
In the Barbican. Croydon, well, I then lived in Wandsworth, midway between Wandsworth and Thornton Heath, very roughly is Tooting and Balham. Geoff, there wasn't, I don't know what brought Geoff to join the ICL, but that would have been his...
But Croydon would have been his area, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would have been, but it may not have been an ICL there, or he may have met somebody, and he was in the Pelham and Tooting ICL, as I was. And that's I guess, how we met.
Did you go your separate ways when it got to the war?
Well, no, yes, the war. Geoff joined the Terriers in 1938. Oh, incidentally, when we came back from Germany, and I've just been reminded of this recently, we both made inquiries about going to Spain. And Geoff went and spoke. And the answer was, they were very interested, but they said no, we were a bit too young. I recently read a book composed of notes made at the time and recollections since of British and Irish international brigaders. And what comes clear, many of them mentioned it, but what the international brigade was looking for, and the point of entry was Paris, Spain, were people of an age and who had military experience. And they weren't very keen on...
But I might not have been here if he'd gone, because an awful lot of them were killed, weren't they?
453 UK people were killed in the international brigade. There was a meeting in honour of them in late 38, early 39, which Paul Robeson addressed, the African singer. How do we get onto that? Oh, that's why, And Geoff joined the Territorials, and he was part of the 44th Home Counties Division, 509, I can still remember it, 509 Transport Column Royal Army Service Corps. And his army number had a T in front of it. When I was called up, I was in the infantry, and got fed up with that, and I missed going to France for various reasons. And I became an army clerk, and I had S, my number, that meant supply. He was transport, I was supply. And I was sent to the Middle East in 1941, August 41. It took 7 weeks to get there by boat, went almost to Canada, down past the Azores, round the Cape, stopped Birmingham up into Egypt. And Geoff, he got out of Dunkirk. I saw him off Dunkirk. Can't remember much of what he said. And then I went aboard and we lost touch. But then he turned up in the Middle East. Again, still in the Army Service Corps, and somehow or another we got each other's address. At that time I was in the Lebanon, just above Beirut, at Mike Army headquarters, and he was somewhere else. And I located where he was in northern Palestine. I went there, but he'd gone away somewhere. And also later, I was commissioned in 1944, and I also did Army, not Army cadet, but as a cadet, which you had to do. You were a cadet and then you were commissioned. I was in Cairo, and I heard Geoff was there. I got the location of his unit, and it was out near the pyramids, but again, because he wasn't there. So we missed ourselves, missed each other.
I'm amazed
twice.
that it was possible to even attempt it during the war, because your leave wouldn't have been very long, and the chance of it coinciding and you being in the same place would have been very slight.
Yeah, except, you see, there was a fair amount of mobility, and one still had leave. Yeah, I mean, we had no home leave. I was abroad for 4 years without any home leave.
Oh, I see. So,
Right.
it's sort of like foreign holidays.
Oh, yeah. I was 4 years in the Mediterranean, because after I was commissioned, I went to Italy. That was from North Africa, not from Egypt. Went to Italy and was then in an infantry battalion. And a few months, enough to get myself killed several times, met Germans, shouted at Germans, and eventually was demobilised and came home. Coming home was, you want to hear about this? Coming home was rather interesting. my battalion had then gone into occupy what is now Slovenia, part of Slovenia. And from there, I was going to go back to the United Kingdom. And I had to go to what was called a railhead. That's where an army rail terminus in northern Italy. And we were going to be flown home by the RAF. So we had a journey from southern Italy. So we had a long journey in the 8 horses, 40 men cattle trucks. As an officer, there were 8 horses, so there were 8 of us to a cattle truck with our beds up, and we were able to brew up and cook in army fashion. And we had this long journey from the north of Italy down to the south near Barbican, Foggia. And about halfway down, our long troop train stopped, and another long troop train stopped going north. And there was a great deal of hooting and shouting and laughing going on, because it transpired we were in the army being sent from the north to the south to be flown home by the RAF. The other train was full of the RAF being driven north in order that the army could drive them overland back to the United Kingdom. Yeah, you know, situation normal.
Yes.
And I'm just reminded of that there are 2 beautiful American abbreviations now. What do you call an abbreviation when it becomes a word?
This wouldn't be snafu, would it?
Snafu. I just read it. Situation normal, all fucked up. There is another one though. Fumar.
Don't know that one.
Fucked up your door recognition. Aren't they lovely? So that's what happened. And I was with 20 soldiers, 21 soldiers. And I said, all soldiers. Other ranks of the army. The army delivered officers and other ranks. Were being flown home in this beat-up Lancaster bomber. And the troops were all around me. And one of them said to me, "Where are our parachutes?" I said, "I think we've got parachutes." And he pointed to the crew. He said, "I bet them was a parachute." I said, "Let's go and ask." So I went up and spoke to the flight lieutenant, who was the pilot. Oh, I said, "My friend wants to know where our parachutes are. Where are yours?" None of us has a parachute. There's no room for 25 parachutes, or even 4 parachutes and 21 soldiers in the crew. And it was true. And they let me go in the Bombarder's booster at the front with the navigator. And I had headphones, which was very nice because I could lie down and I could see. And it took us 9.5 hours from southeastern Italy to land in Norfolk.
That's actually a bit faster than I would have expected, because by jet it must take 3 hours.
Yeah, well, we'll go rather less than that.
Okay.
No, it's 3 hours. Oh yes, it would be.
It's 3 hours to Fiscado.
Yeah,
three and
that's
a
true.
quarter
Yeah,
hours, so
yeah,
it
that's
would
true.
be.
But yes, it would be about 3 hours.
So had either you or Geoff worked in that gap between school and going into the army?
Yeah.
So what were you doing at that stage? What did
Which
you do as a job before?
I was a librarian,
You were a librarian.
and Geoff worked in an insurance,
Oh right.
Guardian Assurance Company.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what you did afterwards. I thought maybe.
Give you the telephone number. Central 8491. May I speak to Mr. Hodges, please? And Geoff actually had, and it's up in Fleet Street, still in the city before you move over into Westminster, the higher end of Fleet Street, and the left-hand side going up was Guardian. And Geoff had an office that actually looked out into Fleet Street, and I was going to meet him there.
That might have been the office he took me to when I was very young.
It would have
I
been.
think there's still a clock. I think the Guardian Insurance clock, it still juts out from the wall.
He used to have to occasionally work there on a Saturday to answer the phone.
Yep, yep.
And he used to take me up, and I used to drive him up the wall because it was a room completely full of desks with telephones, and you could dial between one and the other. And I'd go around phoning all the different extensions.
Yes.
And he didn't take me up very often as a result. I assume you don't think of yourself as a communist now,
Yeah.
do you?
No, I call myself an unreconstructed Marxist.
Okay.
In fact, I've said this today. I was at a meeting of the Librarians Research Journal. I mean, it's refereed articles, editorial board, and we only accept one paper in 3, all that kind of thing. What has happened, it's a journal that I was instrumental, it's a quarterly journal, that I was instrumental in starting. It was owned by our Library Association. I became editor of the monthly journal, and it struck me that coming into the monthly journal were articles which were really of a research nature. And our monthly journal published interesting, useful, short articles, readable articles, but it wasn't a research journal. And I said to the Library Association, we should start a research journal. There's only one other of any significance in the United Kingdom, and that covers documentation special libraries. Nothing covers librarianship as a whole, and it was started. Eventually, it was successful. It broke even within a couple of years, and eventually the Library Association sold it after it had been in existence for 20 years. Yeah, after it had been in existence, sold it, and all the journals, with one exception, all the journals had been published to a commercial publisher for £1 million. Now that was in 1989.
Quite a lot of money then.
Oh yeah, and that journal is the meeting I've been to earlier today, and the question of politics came up. Somebody looked at me, and I said, I'm unreconstructed Marxist, because I had written an editorial which will appear, we take it in turns to write editorials. The editorial will appear in the next issue. And I was explaining what the editorial was about. And one of the points it made was that professional journals, which once published by professional bodies, have now been acquired by private publishers. I said, in effect, as an unreconstructed Marxist, I can say they are commercial commodities which can be bought and sold. And that's what's happened. But that journal, which was first published by our Library Association, then went to one commercial publisher who sold it to a second commercial publisher, and now it's in the home of a third commercial publisher. I said, Marx talked about this, and we've got several examples of that happening. I suppose they've got the reverse. Private bodies have now become nationalised, not banks.
But you
I'm an unreconstructed Marxist.
But at one stage you would have been a paid-up member of a communist party.
Oh yes.
So I can't remember. I think Eunice has said when my father left. That was an invasion of Hungary or something.
Yeah, that was
caused a lot of people to peel
did.
away.
Well, yeah, it's when many of us left, and I can remember it very clearly. I was then in the Wimbledon Communist Party. Communists had a high sense of internal discipline. The only power the working class has is the power of organisation. So it was organised. And I was once called upon by the secretary of my local branch in Wimbledon. He wanted me to turn out to do something. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't. Got too much on. I was still studying. He went, oh, well, well, at that time, we had 2 young children. And I said something quite unpardonable to him. I said, Joan, You would understand how I feel if you had a dose of babies. So you had no children. And so there was that kind of internal tension. But when Hungary came along, Wimbledon was part of the Surrey district of the Communist Party. Communist Party spread itself up into districts. And there was a meeting in the Wimbledon Theatre, of all places, known as an aggregate meeting, that is, all members of the Communist Party in Surrey went over to attend. There must have been about 200 of us there, and it was at the time of Hungary. And there was some discussion, and it was led by a particularly doctrinaire secretary of the Surrey Communist Party, who was giving us the party line, or what he thought was the party line, and I proposed a motion that we ask the Communist Party executive to call a special meeting to discuss Hungary. The secretary of my local party, Wimbledon, got up and said, "Comrade Dudley does not speak for the Wimbledon branch." And I said, "Nobody can speak for the Wimbledon branch because the Wimbledon branch has not yet discussed this. I'm speaking for myself. I think this meeting should ask Central Communist Party to call a special meeting to discuss the matter." And it was defeated. The irony was that 5 days later the Central Communist Party did call such a special meeting. I then went back to my local branch at its next meeting and said, I was criticised for calling for a special meeting, saying it was not necessary. There is now to be a special meeting. Will you tell me that I was wrong to be criticised that the Communist Party Central Committee is now acting improperly? One of us, in a matter of 4 or 5 days, one of us has to be wrong and one of us has to be right. Which is it? And there was pre-Barbican, and I said, well, I'm terribly sorry. All I was asking for was an opportunity to discuss what is a very big problem for all Communist Party members. A chance to discuss it, not to arrive at any conclusion, a chance to discuss it. And so, a party in which I can't discuss crucial issues is not a party I should belong to. It is my party card. Also a member was an outstanding scientist, mathematician, Hyman Levy. I don't know if the name rings any bell. He was professor of mathematics and several other things at Imperial College, a Scottish Jewish chap. And he was also a member of our local branch. He wasn't at that meeting, and I used to go and see him on Sunday afternoons. He lived not far from me in Wimbledon Park. And when I began to be a teacher, and I know he was a lecturer, I used to go along to him to talk about teaching, lecturing. And I remember, and it shows how Marxism, dialectical intent, whatever you want to call it, can penetrate the way you think and work. I discussed with him teaching problems. And I said I had a great problem because I'd set a paper to students asking what are the essential likenesses and differences between general libraries and special libraries. And I said all I got was a list of likenesses and a list of differences, but nothing else. Oh, he said, what you've done is to ask a most difficult question. I shouldn't forget, he got his pen out and said, here is my pen. It is unique. It is like all other pens. Yes. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. I thought, oh God, there's illumination. And in a sense, you see, that I found that kind of analysis and looking for internal contradictions, which is what what Marx did in effect, did enable me to teach, still enables me to write, still enables me to argue. So in that sense, you don't, well, you can say, yes, I'm no longer a communist. You can say, well, I've given up Marxism. But in a sense, it is a philosophy that has a practical significance.
I remember your house in Wimbledon Park very well.
That was it. That's where you were suggesting.
Because I remember the train set, the big highlight of my youth was being allowed to play with the train set very occasionally in the back room.
In 1951, that year.
Well, no, I was born in 51, so
Yeah.
it was a bit after.
Oh, that would be Mark. Mark had a train set on the board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I felt deeply honoured to even look at it. And I remember all sorts of things. Like you used to, did you have TV?
Not till 1956, 57.
Well, that's pretty early on to have TV, isn't it? Because I
Well,
think you used to say that you'd put some in the box for me to take home. Do you remember that?
What
A bit of TV in the box, because I would not want to leave because the TV was on. You say you'd put some in the box for me to take home.
Yes.
And I remember the early days of experiments with stereo on the radio, where you had, I think, medium wave on one loudspeaker and long wave and Radio 3 on the other loudspeaker.
Don't do that.
And I remember all that.
Oh, well, I still fiddle with radio. Yeah. Radio is important because I've grown up with it. I can remember almost back to the beginning of the BBC. That was, I think, 1922, 23. And my father would have encouraged this because we had a crystal set with headphones, crystal sets. There were no antivirals. But they required enormous antenna, what in modern radio terms we call a long wire. That had to be fed down. And my sister and I would squabble for the headphones. And that slowly evolved. Batteries, headphones, loudspeakers, mains electricity. And radio is becoming more and more sophisticated. And I speedily, well, in the Scouts I got my signaller's badge, crossed flags, which meant I could send and receive Morse code by flag and semaphore and carry messages and write messages. And when I was called up into the infantry, I got shoved into, well, I managed to get into the signal section.
But you said you ended up a clerk, didn't you?
Sorry?
Didn't you say you ended up a clerk in the army?
I was called up in 1939 into the infantry regiment, the Devonshire regiment in Exeter. And that was 4 months basic training, after which people went to France. Our signallers got an extra month, so I would have 5 months. But a number of, well, and this happened to Geoff too, a number of odd occurrences that were actually crucial junction points. This way or that way. Sometime when I'd been training for about 5 months, I developed a high fever, and I was still in barracks, and I was shipped off into the hospital ward that was the main barracks of the Devonshire regiment, where I think they were concerned about pneumonia. So I was fed one of the first sulphur drugs, as they were called, that preceded antibiotics. And I was in hospital, raging fever, we call it, for 5 or 6 days. Then I came out, and I was then given, because the phony war was still on, this thing, possibly be late February or March 1940, I was sent on sick leave. And so I'd been away from signal training for a month. And when I went back, the signals officer said, "Oh, well, you won't get your flag, you'll have to do another month." I said, "Well, you know, I can send and receive Morse code. I learned it in the Boy Scouts. You know, I can wave a flag, I can write a message and carry a message in a cleft stick if necessary. Can't I go with the others?" "No, you stay another month." The others went to France. Many of them were killed or captured. And in fact, later on in the war, one of them I turned up in my unit in Italy and survived. But Geoff had Dunkirk. I missed Dunkirk, and I missed, well, I'd either have been in Dunkirk or I'd have been captured in France, or killed in France. So, but there's just the odd chance I was ill and insisted. And I think all the way through the war, it happened to lots of soldiers. Something happened that meant you didn't go along the beaten path. You were shoved off into some territory. I'm sure Geoff has. Well, he trained as a glider pilot.
Yes, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Another friend of mine trained as a school friend of mine, trained as a glider pilot. And he survived, came home, and was training soldiers in September after the war ended in May, when he was killed in an explosion accident. He was a glider pilot too. In fact, my boyhood friend was lost at sea in the Navy. My school friend, Dan, died in an accident. And my close friend, when I was in my first year in the army, we were both signallers, we worked together as a pair, transferred to the RAF and was killed in a flying accident. So, all of those things.
And then, Phil Bartley died quite young, and my father died quite young.
Yeah, because I visited Geoff in hospital, and I gave when he still had the bandage on his head. Yeah.
But then you made a great success of and became a professor of library.
Oh, well, that
Library studies or something.
No, that again was an accident. I was 5 years after the war, 5-6 years as a librarian. I got a job in Hampstead. I went back to the library I'd worked in, and they gave me immediately, I was still unqualified, the chief gave me a professional post, professional salary. It's a clerical salary, whatever it was. But I said to him, "I'm not qualified." And he was a soldier from World War I. He said, "Not your fault, you're not qualified." I said, "But we've got qualified people here who are not on the point." That's their bad luck. And he gave me a qualified job. And I stayed with it for a couple of years. I went to library school, got myself a grant from the army, which was at the time rather more than my civilian salary to do that, and then qualified. I applied for a job in Hampstead. It had come up. It was a well-paid job, and it was in a rather key branch library. The chief said to me, "You should try for this stuff." And I said, "Yeah, right." "Oh," he said, "you do." I said, "Yes, a terrible library system. Hampstead, well, that silly old chief, he's going soon, it's bound to improve." I'd apply. So I applied, got an interview. The interview was going all right, usual, until one and I'd written in my application that I had a working knowledge of German, because I knew that a fair proportion of the Hampstead's population, certainly in the area where I was, were refugees from Germany in the 30s, German Jewish refugees, or refugees from Germany post-1945. And it was known that German was the second language in parts of Hampstead, so I had a working knowledge of German. And one character said, "So how good is your working knowledge of German?" "Sufficient to interrogate German prisoners of war." I got along. But he pushed, and I thought, tell me to translate something as German, or from German, and I'll do it. But if you're not going to do it, shut up. Don't pursue it anymore. And that sort of shut him up. He didn't pursue it because I wasn't going to demonstrate. You have to ask for it. That must have made him cross, because a little later he looked at me and said, "Mr. Dudley, you haven't had much experience as a librarian." Now, at that time, I had 3.5 years before the war. After the war, I'd had about 2 years, and then library school. So I said, yes, that's quite true. At the moment, I probably know more about bombs and brain bombs than I do about books and bibliography. But in time, the situation would be reversed. I thought, something I don't want to work here. And there was a pained silence. I looked around the committee. And then the man sitting just to my left threw back his head and laughed and laughed and laughed. And I thought, oh, yeah. Somebody saw the humour. I was being led out by the person, the member of staff, taking us in and out of the interview. And I said, I don't think I want to work here. Who was the man who laughed sitting? "Oh, that," he said. "Yes, he was a cop, you know. That's Ernest Raymond." Now, Ernest Raymond was an infantryman in the First World War. Wrote a classic novel about the First World War called Tell England. And he saw the point I was making. And he just laughed at me. They offered me the job.
I bet you would have liked to have been there while they discussed who was the candidates, because
Yes.
I suppose it wasn't a unanimous vote, was it?
No? Oh, well, I've been thinking about this. Because you're in a similar position.
Just want to check we got enough. Yes, it's still recording. Sorry, you've been thinking about this.
Well, you may be in a similar position. Your father died before you had a chance to rebel against him. How old were you when you died?
Well, you're sort of right, except that I can remember, it's sadness for me that I can remember being fairly horrible to my father when he was getting ill.
Really?
In a way that
How old
teenagers
were
can
you
be
then?
very selfish. I don't know exactly how old I was when he died. Maybe I was 13. But I can remember being embarrassed by his illness and...
I didn't have that. My father just died suddenly of TB. I mean, I knew he was ill, but I didn't realise he was dying.
Yeah. And I also denied to myself that I knew he was dying.
Yeah.
I can remember even when my mother wanted to talk to me about it, deliberately avoiding having the conversation, because I knew what she was going to say and I didn't want to face up to it.
Well, dealing with the concept of death when you're young, it takes some time before mortality. I mean, one of my sons, when he was about 7, as he was maths, "Daddy, were you killed in the war?" What was war? It's what they saw on television. They were actors, They came up and walked away. He wasn't killed in the war. So the idea of mortality takes a little time to get embedded, and it is different for you because I say you had to cope with the knowledge of your father's death. I had to cope with it only after he died. So that wasn't difficult, but I didn't rebel against him because I hadn't got to that stage, but he was good to me actually. He bought me books, bought me a bicycle, he encouraged this listening to the radio and so on and so forth. And as a steam engine driver. I still use the phrase. He was in the AD to the proletariat. I remember hearing he brought home pay 1 week, he included overtime, before he died in 1932, of £6. That was a lot of money. And he was a socialist. To punish me, he used to hit me on the head with the wrapped up Daily Herald, which was then the Labour Party, bang, bang, bang on the head, and a trade unionist. And I can still remember him coming home one morning and saying to my mother, "We're out tomorrow," meant there was a strike tomorrow, and my mother saying, "And you'll be on the early morning picket, won't you?" Yes, he said, 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, along picket. So I grew up, that's where I'm unlike Geoff. Geoff had a middle class background.
Absolutely. I think he had a difficult relationship with his father, didn't he?
I think so.
I get the impression.
So it may be the way he rebelled by becoming a communist.
Yes.
For me, it
was a natural thing.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the time you spent with me today, Edward.
Everybody
been lovely,
likes
it's been
talking
fascinating.
about themselves and their past.
Well, it would have been interesting in any case, but
Ah,
obviously the connection with
I
my
was talking
father.
about rebelling against one's father. I was never able to do that, but I've been rebelling against authority ever since.
Hmm.
And I've got 2 laws of authority as embodied in organisations. The weak point of any authority is the over-protestation of its virtues. Take them for granted. E.g., open and transparent. We are open and transparent. The other is all authorities have, Marx says, have built-in internal disruptive forces. Identify and support them.